At a community college cafeteria on Christmas week, a campus officer forces a man to dump his hot holiday lunch into a trash bag for trying to take it to his kid. A probationary cafeteria supervisor steps in, pays for the food out of pocket, and gets fired on the spot for breaking policy. Quiet ripples follow that restore dignity through small changes, leading to a grounded, hopeful shift without fanfare. Before we dive in, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And hey, where are you tuning in from? Leave your country in the comments. I love seeing how far these stories reach. Dump it, the campus cop said, holding a black trash bag open with both hands. The man in the worn blazer froze. Steam rolled off the turkey and mashed potatoes on his tray. Students stopped mid-bite. Someone's fork scraped a plate. A tinny carol leaked from the ceiling speaker. A red puddle of cranberry had slid to the edge. The cop nudged the tray with 2 fingers. Policy, no takeout. His voice carried under the fluorescent buzz. The man's jaw worked. He tipped the tray. Gravy ran down like paint. A roll hit the bag and bounced out, rolled across the tile, settled by the wet floor sign. The smell of sage and hot bread mixed with bleach from the mop bucket. Mara watched from behind the register, hand on the scanner. She had been counting lids. She had a stack of to-go clamshells she was supposed to lock up after lunch service. Her black polo felt tight under her arms. Her name tag brushed her neck. She was 57 days into her 90-day probation. One more infraction and the district manager would end her contract before New Year's. She knew the rule. No one leaves the cafeteria with food unless it's in a paid container. Leftovers got tossed. The system recorded everything. The cop's body cam light was a steady blink. The manager upstairs checked logs every night. HR had said it in a cheerful voice at orientation. She repeated it in her head when people asked for a break. The man at the trash bag had a threadbare blazer with shiny elbows and a coffee stain on one cuff. His glasses were taped at the bridge. His fingers shook. He tried to save the roll. The cop pointed with 2 fingers. The man let the roll go. Someone at a table whispered "messed up," then looked down at their phone. Mara thought of her kids' list on the fridge. Socks, a used controller, green slime. Her rent was due Friday. The app on her phone had a red bubble. She could already feel the district manager's flat tone. "We have to be consistent. Mara, audits." The man started to pour off the last spoon of mac and cheese, slow like his hands were too heavy. He kept glancing at the door. A green campus banner said, "Holiday lunch $9.99 in cheerful marker." Garland sagged along the sneeze guard, dotted with paper snowflakes. Mara put the scanner down. She stepped out from behind the counter, the floor slick under her shoes. The student worker at the salad bar widened his eyes. She shook her head once. Low, like "don't." "Stop," she said, not loud, just enough. The cop looked her way. His name patch said Hart. He had a winter jacket over his uniform, radio hissing. His face was red from coming in and out of the cold. He didn't look angry. He looked tired. Mara grabbed 3 clamshells and a roll of tape. She caught the tray before the last smear slid off. "He's with catering," she said, and heard how thin that sounded. "I need to pack this up." Hart's eyebrows lifted. "Who?" "Catering pickup," she said. Her mouth went dry. "Order number." She glanced at the register like numbers were floating there. 72. She didn't know where that number came from. It landed in the air between them and sat there. The man blinked at her. He didn't play along. He just looked. There was a crease at the corner of his mouth like he smiled a lot when he could. Mara moved. Old muscle memory from banquet nights kicked in. She portioned turkey into the clamshells with tongs, built the plates like a machine, added a scoop of green beans, a spoon of stuffing. She wiped the edges with a glove, snapped the lids shut. She wrapped a roll in napkin and slid it in the bag. Her hands shook. The tape stuck to itself. She peeled it free with her teeth. Hart stepped closer. "We can't." Mara cut him off. "I'll ring it in. Full price." Her voice surprised her. Sharp. Final. "On me." He studied her face. Radio static crackled. Somewhere behind him, a kid laughed at something on a screen. The carol switched to another carol. The steam table ticked as it cooled. Mara whipped back behind the register. She scanned clamshells like they had barcodes. They didn't. She keyed in a catering menu item from memory, box-ed meal, holiday special, $12.99. She entered 3. She swiped her card. The screen flashed processing. Declined. Her chest pinged small and hot. She dug out another card. The one she kept for emergencies. It had a chip The silver scratched. She slid it in. The machine thought about it. Approve. The receipt printed with a chirp. $41.97 plus tax. She stapled it to a bag. She walked the food to the man and put the receipt on top like it was armor. Paid, she said, not meeting Hart's eyes now. Hart lowered the trash bag. He looked at the receipt. He rubbed his jaw like he had a toothache. You know I didn't. He started, quiet. I know, Mara said. She didn't look at him. She looked at the man. Do you want a lid for a drink? Her voice wobbled on lid. She hated that. The man nodded once. Thank you, he said. His voice was soft and a little hoarse, like he'd been up late grading or coughing. His eyes were wet, but he wasn't crying. He held the bag like it was fragile. Hart keyed his radio. Status resolved, he said. He sounded unsure. Then his radio squawked again. He turned away. Copy, he said low. Mara felt her phone buzz. An unknown number. She didn't pick up. She already knew. Office, said the district manager, when she called back from the hallway behind the soda machine. No, hello. Did you process a catering sale without approval? I rang a sale. Full price. No pomp, Mara said. Her voice was flat now. She was trying to slow her breathing so she wouldn't sound like she'd been running. Catering requires 48 hours notice, he said. We do not give takeout at the hotline. Food safety. Liability. You know this. His tone was traffic. No spikes. There was food already plated, Mara said. I repackaged. She stared at the mop sink. Someone had taped a star cut from foil gum wrapper above it. It caught the fluorescent light and flickered. Return your key and badge to Hart, the district manager said. You can pick up your check Friday at HR. He hung up. Mara stood with the phone against her ear, even though the line was dead. She exhaled. It made a ghost in the cold hallway. She pressed the phone against her forehead until it hurt a little. She went back to the line. Hart had folded the trash bag. He didn't meet her eyes. She unclipped her keys from her belt. The ring was heavy with drawer keys, ice machine, back door. They clinked like tiny bells. She set them on the counter. You don't have to, Hart started. Yeah, she said. I do. She unclipped her badge and slid it across too. Her name, Mara Ortiz, in block letters under the logo. The student worker pretended to rearrange bananas until his hands shook. I'm sorry, he blurted. No one else said anything. Forks resumed. Chairs scraped. The world kept chewing. Mara found the man by the napkin station backing away from the register like he was afraid to be in the way. She lifted the bag. Come on, she said. Back hall has a table. It's warmer there. Her throat felt tight. He followed. His shoes squeaked. He smelled like old books and cold air. He moved careful, like any sudden move would get him sent back. In the service hall, she set the bag on a metal prep table. A dish machine hummed low. She poured him a paper cup of hot chocolate from the staff urn. She pushed a stack of napkins toward him. She didn't say it was on the house. She was out of house. He took one clamshell and a plastic fork. He ate fast at first, then slowed when the heat hit his stomach. He put the fork down and leaned his hands around the clamshell to hold in warmth. Do you need anything else? Mara asked. She kept her voice neutral, not pity. Just service tone, but softer. She wiped a wet ring off the table with a towel like there was a line and she had a lot to do. He shook his head. I thought I could take it back, he said, quiet. My kid's with his mom. I'm due to pick him up at 6. He likes the roll with butter. He calls it the white roll. He almost smiled at that. Mara nodded. We always make too many. He nodded like that, told him something about the world he didn't want to know. He pulled his bag closer. When he opened it, papers fanned out. He froze, then reached to catch them, but one slid onto the floor. Mara picked it up. It was an eviction notice dated last week. Another paper had a pay stub. Adjunct, History 101, full part-time compensation, $1,740.08 after deductions. There was a folded drawing on pink paper, a lopsided tree, a stick figure with glasses next to a shorter stick figure with spiky hair. The words "See You Christmas, Dad" in green marker, the S backwards. Mara handed the papers back without comment. She tucked the drawing into the bag so it wouldn't bend. He watched her hands like he was trying to memorize how to be gentle. Thank you, he said again. It landed differently this time, not just for the food. For the way she put the drawing in, she nodded. Finish. No rush. She walked back to the line. She didn't look at Hart. She gathered her hoodie from the hook. her lunch container, the cheap hat with the logo they'd given her the first day. The hat had a little bell on it, because the manager thought that was festive. It jingled as she stuffed it into her tote. On her way out, she left the rest of the clamshells on the counter, unlocked. Habit fought her hand. She let them sit. The student worker looked at them, then at her. He nodded, small. She pushed the heavy door to the loading dock. Cold air slapped her face. Snow flurries drifted like ash and then thickened. A string of lights someone had taped along the railing blinked slow red-green. A truck beeped somewhere in the lot. She stood for a second, shoulders up, breath caught under her tongue. Then she dropped them and kept moving. Then Friday she came back for her check. HR smelled like coffee and toner. A wreath hung crooked on a corkboard. While she waited, she looked through the window into the cafeteria. A new sign was taped to the sneeze guard in clear block letters. Leftovers will be boxed at 2 p.m. for enrolled students and staff, 1 per person. Please ask at register. The sign had been printed in Word. No logo. No one had asked marketing. Hart was at the corner table with a plastic bin. He was sorting white clamshells into stacks like cards. When a girl in a big coat came up, he handed her a box and a fork and a packet of hot sauce from his pocket. He saw Mara, then looked back at the girl. Behind the register, the student worker had a stack of paper cups. He slid them over to people who asked for water. He had a note stuck in the register that said staff meal 4:15, pack up 2 pans for custodial. It was written in thick marker. The manager wasn't around. By the vending machines, the man in the blazer sat at a folding table with 2 students and a third chair with a backpack on it. He had a stack of spiral notebooks and a handwritten sign. Free help finals essays, today only. He gestured with his pen. One student nodded, face open and relieved. The drawing on pink paper stuck out of his bag like a flag. On Monday, an email floated through the campus listserv from a dean with a long title. It said new food recovery guidelines were in effect during winter break in partnership with facilities. It mentioned sustainability. It mentioned waste. It did not mention people by name. No parade, no speeches. Just small things moved half an inch and stayed there. Mara took her check and left. On the sidewalk, the wind cut around the building and got inside her coat. She pulled the hood up. Her phone buzzed with a text from the student worker. He'd found her number on the schedule. It was a photo. 4 clamshells on a stainless table. A roll in each. The caption read, "For custodial, we got it." She stopped at the bus shelter. The glass rattled when the wind hit it. Across the lot, she saw Hart carry a box out to the loading dock. He set it down carefully, like he wanted it to land quiet. He rubbed his hands and blew on them. He looked small in the cold. Mara watched her breath fog and fade. She thought of the little drawing tucked in the man's bag. She thought of the clamshells with their plastic tabs clicking shut. For once, that sound didn't make her stomach drop. It sounded like doors locking against the wind. The bus pulled up with its lights on low. Snow dusted the top edge of the shelter. The vendor machine in the lobby glowed blue through the glass. She glanced back one last time. In the hall behind the register, the foil star above the mop sink caught the light from the doorway and flashed once, then steadied. She put her hand against the cold metal pole, stepped up into the warm bus, and let the doors close.